You absolutely do not need a massive email list to make money with your emails. What you do need, however, is a strategy and some professional copy tips. So that's what I'm gonna teach you today. If you are going to put time and energy into creating and writing and sending and scheduling and all the things that it takes to have a successful email marketing campaign, you wanna make sure that you're sending emails that your audience will open, will read, and will follow through on. So today I'm gonna give you all my best tips and strategies for creating a truly effective email marketing campaign that helps you make more money in your business. Okay, I'm Emily, a copywriter who is obsessed with helping small and online business owners like you use your words to make more money. I know how powerful words can be, and I want to show you how to use them to connect with your audience, bring in more of your dream clients, and ultimately have to work less to reach those really big, exciting, maybe sometimes scary goals that you have. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for all of my best website sales and copy tips for small and online business owners. Ready to learn more about effective email marketing in 2023? Me too, let's go. If your goal is to write emails that make money, I mean, isn't that always the goal, right? There's one thing that you have to keep in mind at the top of everything. We're gonna talk about some specific strategies, some awesome things you can do, but the thing guiding all of it has to be value. I'm gonna repeat that because it's so important. The thing guiding your email strategy and every email you write and every subject line you write and every single thing you do has to be value. I like to suggest an 80%, 20% rule when it comes to putting value into your emails. So let's start with really what value can be. Anything that helps your reader, that teaches them, that guides them, that is not you asking for something, okay? So value is the opposite of like selling or asking your reader to do something. So for example, value might be educational tips, it might be advice, it might be a free resource, it might be like a bullet point list of here's all the things that you're going to need to do to include value in your emails, right? Mini trainings, free resources, links. Like if you listen to an amazing podcast and it helps you and you want to share that with your audience, that is sharing value, right? You can also bring in helpful things of value outside. Maybe it's like a life hack. Maybe it's something that really worked with your kids. As long as it is something that applies to the people that you are sending your emails to, or like most of them, right? When it comes to the 80-20 rule, what I mean is that 80% of your email or 80% of the time you're sending an email, 80% of it is value. So like I'm giving you information, I'm sharing tips, I'm sharing like a case study, right? I'm telling you what happened for a client. I'm telling you a story that helps you build awareness. I'm doing something that is serving you 80% of the time. So the majority of what I'm doing is that value piece. And then 20% of the time, I'm either selling to you or asking you to do something. So that could be like, buy this course, buy this product, join this program, go to this sales page, read this blog post, watch this YouTube video, right? When you are asking, anything that is an ask would be considered like the 20% of a sell. So most of what you're gonna do is going to be value-based, 20%-ish is going to be selling. This does not apply to a sales sequence. So if you're launching something or you're running a specific sequence, that is probably gonna be flipped. 80% of those emails are going to be about the thing that you're selling. 20% might be some added value you're giving to like add interest and keep people reading. This is typically for like weekly newsletters and just those regular emails that we're sending out. You need to ground everything in so much value. If you can make that one change, I guarantee you your emails are going to be more effective overnight. That's the first thing. All right, so you're gonna write this incredible email, right? You've given all this value, but we actually have to get people to open it before they can get to all the good stuff inside. So that is where your subject line comes in, and this is one of the most important components of an effective email. So if you wanna make money with your email, you need as many eyes as possible on the content in that email, and to do that, you need an effective subject line. Here's what most people do. They summarize what's in the email. So I like look at my email and I'm like, oh, I wrote this email about how to get better open rates. So I'm going to make my subject line, how to get better open rates. That's not a terrible subject line, okay? There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I'm telling you exactly what is in this email. The thing is, I'm not giving you enough of a reason to click if you don't already believe that you need help with email open rates, right? So if you're like, I already know how to like get my emails open, I'm not gonna open that email. Or if you think that's boring, I don't care, you're not gonna open that email. There's a couple of different things we're gonna talk about today. One is FOMO, the other is curiosity gap, and you wanna use one of these tactics to write a subject line that prompts, it creates an innate desire to know an answer, it builds that curiosity, and people can't help but click into your email. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. The first one is FOMO. I use this sparingly. This is not my go-to method, but every now and then it's really effective. And this is where you basically like create the fear of missing out, right? You make it seem like everyone else is doing this thing and you create this like worry or doubt or like FOMO in someone, right? That like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. I've got to click it and like get in on this. So some good examples of FOMO email lines might sound like this. Don't be the only photographer doing this. 99% of my clients use this tool to make more money. What? You haven't joined the insert name of your program yet? The key here is to not go too overboard with it. I think it can be really easy to be like, oh, I want to get more eyes on this. I'm going to do something really sensational or like very clickbaity. And as an ethical copywriter, as a person who just cares about words in general and also is just allergic to bad clickbaity copy, I highly suggest you don't do that. Yes, you may get more opens, but in the process, you're going to lose trust, and you're also going to probably have people open it and read the first line and they don't actually care and they're going to click out. So we really want to walk the fine line of like building that FOMO without being like misleading or too like over the top or dramatic. All right, my go-to subject line approach is what I call a curiosity gap. So what the goal is to give the reader enough information to care or be interested in what you're talking about. So you can't just like totally blindside them and take all the information out. But so you have to give them enough, but not enough to decide whether or not they actually are interested or if they need this. This is my favorite example to use when teaching how to create a curiosity gap for your subject line. Let's say you wrote an email about bananas. Yes, I know this is silly, but I think it's easy to understand. So in your email, you educate people on the best ways to eat bananas. You educate them on like where bananas grow and what the process is like. You show them the value in like making a banana recipe. And then finally you invite them to buy some bananas. Got it? Cool. This email is all about bananas. Now, you might write your subject line as all about bananas. That's true, that's what your email is about. But if I don't like bananas, if I find bananas boring, if I think I don't need any bananas, maybe you haven't educated me yet about all the amazing recipes I can make and all these smoothies I'm missing out on, I'm gonna go ahead and be like, no, not interested, right? It's not gonna grab my attention, it's not gonna really like do anything for me. However, if you wanna create a curiosity gap email, you wanna give them enough information, make it relatable to your reader, and give them a reason to click. So you might try something like, are you a fan of this yellow fruit? Okay, so I didn't say like, are you a fan? Not enough information, right? A fan of what? Like, that's way too vague. But are you a fan of this yellow fruit? I know that it's yellow, I know that it's a fruit, but it could be a lemon, it could be a pineapple, it could be any other number of an apple. Like there are so many other yellow fruits. I don't know which one this is. Am I a fan of it? I can't answer the question, but I'm kind of intrigued. I'm like, I don't know. Am I? Now I need to know. And that right there, the need to know, is your curiosity gap. And so that person is going to click into the email. They're going to figure out that you're talking about bananas, and they're going to hopefully be really like compelled by everything you're telling them and take action at the end. Really key with subject lines is connecting what you are sharing, like what the thing is, to your readers' interest, experience, personality, preferences, something that has to do with them. So the key to a truly great email is switching your focus from like, going back to value, and then when we're talking about subject lines, both of those things. When you can switch your focus from what do I need you to do or what do I need to tell you to what does my reader need to know? What does my reader want to find out about? When you can make that switch, your emails are going to become more effective, your subject lines are going to become more effective, you're going to get more opens, you're going to get more eyes on those emails, and when you use the next tip to make those emails even more effective, you're going to be making more sales. All right, let's improve what's inside your email. The next tip is to have a goal, and then a little bonus tip, which is write it down. You have to have a clear, specific, stated goal for every single email. And yes, you should write that goal down before you ever start writing an email. Here's what typically happens, right? You open your email service provider. For me, that's Flowdesk. I pull up a blank email in Flowdesk and I stare at the cursor. I wonder what I should talk about. I think about what's going on in my business. Maybe I get frustrated. Maybe I get up and go get a drink of water. Maybe I like scroll Instagram for 35 minutes, right? Eventually I'll be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll write about this. I start typing and then I have another idea and then I type some more and then I'm like, oh yeah, and this other thing. And I put it all in. And at the end I have a very jumbled, confusing email that like goes from here to here to here. And maybe there's some good stuff in there, but there's no clear like point to it, right? So here's what happens when people are confused or when they are overwhelmed, they leave. They click out of the email, they unsubscribe from your email list, they put it into the trash, they do not take action. Confused people do not buy. Overwhelmed people do not engage, right? Like they are done. And so having a goal is like the best thing you can do for yourself and for your reader. So instead of being like, well, my goal is to make a sale, my goal is for them to buy this thing. Like, I mean, I get it, guys. Like that's always our goal. We always want people to buy, right? Like that's the point of having a business, but we got to get more specific than that. So I want you to think about like how you want people to feel, what you want them to learn, what you want them to know, and channel that into one very specific goal. Now, the reason you write it down is for two things, right? One, you writing something down makes you more aware of it and you're kind of like committed. You wrote it down, so now it's real. So I think that's important. The second thing is that when you reread your email out loud, because you are a great editor and you know to read it out loud and make sure everything like tracks and it's not confusing and all of those good things, you also can ask yourself, do I reach this goal? Do I meet my goal? Do I stay? Is most of the bulk of my email focused on this goal? And if the answer is no, then maybe you need to rewrite the email because you got off topic, right? You went off on like all these different tangents. You didn't stay true to what you said your goal was, and you need to go back and like take some things out, rework it to make sure that email is actually following through on your one big goal. If you're like, I have no idea what my goal could be, I just wanted to share a few examples with you. Your goal could be, my goal for this email is to share why online business owners need to write down a goal for their emails. Perfect. I know what I'm sharing and I know what they need to know. And so everything in that email needs to be going towards that. So if I tell a story, the story needs to connect to that point. If I share a resource, the resource needs to connect to that point. If I ask them to write a blog post, the blog post should connect to that point, right? It's all going to like be held together. A goal could also be like action-based, right? So like my goal is to teach 3 lighting tips for when you're taking pictures with your iPhone. Great. If it's education based, this is a valuable email. I'm going to teach these 3 things. Now that doesn't mean that's the only thing you can teach, right? But if you read that email and you're like, you give those 3 tips and then you're like, start talking about, write this like one manual setting. And so then you're like, give like 8 tips for using this manual setting on your iPhone. And then you're like, well, that wasn't the goal, right? I got off track again. So you can go back, you can edit it, you can make sure you're staying true to the thing that you said you wanted to do. It's going to help you write faster. It's going to help your writing be more clear. And it's also going to give your reader a better chance of following through and taking that action you actually want them to take, because they're going to understand what's important. They're not going to be confused. They're going to have clarity and they're going to be excited to take further action. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is consistency. If you don't remember anything else about consistency, remember this. Consistent does not equal constant. You do not have to email your people 3, 5, 7 times a week. In fact, please don't do that. Nobody wants 7 emails in their inbox, right? From the same person every week. Unless you're running a sale and it's something very specific, it does not have to be a constant like attack, a constant deluge of emails from you. That is not what we mean. Consistency really applies to how often you email, so your schedule. It also applies to the value. You're consistently delivering value week after week after week after week. People are getting value in their emails. It also applies to your brand voice. You are consistently writing emails that sound like your business, that sound like you, that connect with your ideal client. You have to be consistent in your schedule. You have to be consistent in your value, and you have to be consistent in your brand voice. When you do that, you're going to have emails that win. And by win, I mean help you make more sales. So when we're talking about picking out a schedule, this is a big question I always get. When should I email? What time of day? What day is best? How often? Here's the thing I want you to know. Sure, if you use like Flowdesk, for example, they can recommend the best time for morning or the best time for evening based on their analytics, right? Based on their data. They send millions of emails. They know when people are like doing this. I don't ever get caught up in that. I try to pick a day. So I don't like to email on Mondays because I feel like there's just like a ton of emails going into inboxes. I tend to delete the most emails without opening or reading them on Mondays. I also don't love to email on Fridays. Sometimes I do it, but I don't love to because I check out about noon on Fridays, most Fridays. And I know a lot of other business owners do too. So I try to stick between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but honestly, there really isn't a best time. You can test things and see what works for your audience if that's really important for you, but I would just say pick a general day and try to stick to it. Now, I try to email on Tuesdays. That's my email day. I would say 80% of the time my email goes out on Tuesday. I would say about 15% of the time that email goes out on Wednesday or Thursday. It's not a big deal. People aren't like sitting at home being like, Emily Writes Well is sending her email. It's Tuesday, like I'm getting ready. Most people aren't doing that. Just send it. So if you miss your day, it's not a big deal. Just send it the next day. You don't have to wait till the next week. You do not have to be that specific about the day you're sending. The other thing that you have to remember is that like people get a lot of emails, and even if they love your emails, they're not going to always read yours. Okay, so even if someone's like, oh my gosh, every email Emily sends I love, I learned something, it's so valuable, I love reading her emails, even my most engaged reader is probably only opening between like 40 to 80% of my emails that I send them, right? 80% is on the high end. 40% is about more normal, right? They are not going to open every single email. So that's another reason being consistent is important. If you are regularly putting great high quality stuff in your brand voice in front of your audience, even if they're not opening every single one, they are going to be picking it up, right? So that's why consistency really matters. It is a long-term game. No one is opening every single email that you send them, except maybe your mom, which is great. Okay, so we talked about how a great subject line gets more people to open your email, and it absolutely does. However, the thing that will really work for you the best is the value and the content you put into your emails. So when you are consistently sharing valuable information, you are going to increase your open rate as like a byproduct. At the end of the day, this is all part of a long-term strategy. You can't just decide, oh, I want to use email marketing to make money. I'm going to use these tips Emily gave me and I'm going to like turn around and tomorrow I'm going to make $1 million, right? What I can help you with is the long-term solution. And that's what this is, right? You've got to start doing these things now and continue doing them over weeks and months and years. And that's where the magic is. No, you don't have to wait like a year to make your first sale from email marketing. You can make a sale the next email that you send. You absolutely can. But this works best and is most effective when it is part of a long-term strategy. So just keep that in mind when you are setting goals, deciding what you're going to do and committing to a consistent schedule that you can follow. Remember, this is like, you're in it for the long haul, right? This is a long-term game. All right, we've covered a lot of email marketing gold today, and I want to just go over everything we've talked about and remind you why it matters. Number one, we're going to lead with value. We know that the more value we can deliver, the more people want to read our emails, the more open they are to buying from us, the more they trust our expertise, the more we are their go-to solution. So value, value, value. We also learned to stop summarizing our subject lines and use FOMO or creating a curiosity gap to get more people feeling excited and ready and like they have to open our emails to increase our open rates. We learned that we need to have a goal for every single email and that we need to write it down. That goal needs to be specific and we need to make sure that after we've written our email, we actually accomplished the goal that we set out to accomplish. And most of all, we learn to be consistent in our brand voice, in our delivery, and in our value. When we really keep that consistency going, when we commit to it and we really show up with a consistent brand voice, with consistent value, and with consistent emails that are sent out on a regular basis, we will see results. If you have a skill, if you have a good product, if you have an offer, if you have something that people need, and you have the people who need that in your email community, I promise you can absolutely make money, make sales specifically through your emails. Remember to check out the description for some of my free favorite resources you can use while building your email marketing strategy and coming up with some consistent, valuable ideas and subject lines and things like that for your own email marketing. If you have questions, ask them in the comments. Let me know in the comments which of these tips you're most excited to implement. If you're already doing one and it's working really well, give us the details. Let us know what's working for you. Let's talk about it in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.